the betrayal that woke you up. It begins like this. You gave them everything, your trust, your loyalty, your time. And what did you get in return? A knife in your back. The betrayal wasn't just an accident, it was deliberate, calculated, cold. That moment when you realized the truth wasn't the instant they turned on you. It was the moment you turned on yourself by depending on them. And that's what they don't tell you, isn't it? That trust is often the rope people use to hang you. So now you're left standing in the ruins of what you thought were solid relationships, staring at the ashes of trust burned away by reality. But this is where your story begins. This is where you rise, not because someone will help you, but because you will help yourself. The illusion of dependence. Dependence is comfortable. It's easy. It's the soft pillow you rest your head on at night, thinking someone else will always be there to catch you when you fall. But let me ask you this. What happens when that pillow is yanked away? When the very person you leaned on steps aside and lets you crash? The illusion of dependence is the most dangerous drug there is. It blinds you, numbs you, makes you forget that the only person who truly has your back is staring at you in the mirror. From the moment we're born, we're taught to trust. Parents, friends, society. They tell you to lean on others, to share your burdens. But the truth is, dependence makes you weak. It robs you of your edge, your instincts. It leaves you exposed, vulnerable. And in a world where everyone's looking out for themselves, vulnerability is a luxury you can't afford. Dependence creates a false sense of security. It whispers lies in your ear, telling you that someone else will solve your problems, fix your mistakes, and catch you when you stumble. But life doesn't work that way. The safety net you believe exists is often just an illusion, a mirage that vanishes the moment you need it most. When you place your faith in others, you're gambling with your future, and more often than not, it's a losing bet. Self-reliance isn't about rejecting help entirely. It's about knowing that help is a bonus, not a guarantee. It's about standing on your own 2 feet, ready to face whatever comes your way without expecting someone else to shoulder the burden. Dependence may feel safe, but it's a trap. And the sooner you break free, the stronger you'll become. Betrayal doesn't come cheap. It costs you something every single time. Your peace of mind, your belief in people, sometimes even your sanity. But here's the catch. Betrayal isn't always their fault. Sometimes it's yours. You ignored the red flags. You turned a blind eye to the signs. You handed them the weapon they used to stab you. Think about the last time someone let you down. Was it really a surprise? Or did you see it coming but chose to hope for the best? That hope is what kills you. Hope is the precursor to pain. Because the moment you trust someone else to take care of what's yours, you're giving away your power. And power, once lost, is nearly impossible to reclaim. Betrayal teaches you one of life's harshest lessons, that trust is a currency and not everyone deserves it. It forces you to confront the uncomfortable truth about human nature, that people are inherently self-serving. They'll choose themselves over you every time, and if you're not prepared for that, the cost will be devastating. Betrayal isn't just a wound, it's a wake-up call, a reminder that the only person you can truly count on is yourself. Building the wall. Walls get a bad reputation. People say they're cold, isolating, unkind. But let me tell you something, walls keep you alive. A well-built wall isn't about shutting the world out. It's about protecting what matters, yourself, your dreams, your sanity. Because not everyone deserves access to you. In fact, most people don't. So, build the wall, brick by brick, layer by layer. But don't make it impenetrable. Make it strong enough to withstand the storms, but with gates you control. Let in those who earn their place, and shut out those who don't. Your boundaries are your fortress, and only you hold the key. A wall isn't a prison, it's a safeguard. It's a declaration that your peace is non-negotiable. It's a line in the sand that says, this far and no further. Without boundaries, you're at the mercy of everyone else's whims, and that's no way to live. A strong wall doesn't make you weak or heartless, it makes you wise. It shows the world that you value yourself enough to protect what's yours. Self-reliance isn't just a skill, it's an art form. It's the ability to stand tall when the world tries to knock you down. It's the quiet confidence of knowing that no matter what happens, you've got this. You don't need their approval. You don't need their help. You don't need their validation. But self-reliance isn't about being invincible. It's about being prepared. It's about knowing that when the storms come, and they will, you're ready. You have the tools, the mindset, the strength to weather it. And if you don't have them yet, you're willing to learn. Because that's what self-reliance really is. The relentless pursuit of becoming the strongest version of yourself. It's waking up every day and choosing to face the world on your terms. It's refusing to let setbacks define you or failures break you. Self-reliance is the ultimate form of freedom. It's the realization that you are enough, that you have everything you need within you to succeed. And once you embrace that, there's nothing you can't achieve. The poison of trust. Trust is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it's the foundation of relationships. On the other, it's the very thing that destroys them. Because trust gives people power over you. It hands them the keys to your kingdom and hopes they won't abuse it. But here's the hard truth. Most will. Not because they're evil, but because they're human, flawed, selfish, opportunistic. So, what's the solution? Don't trust blindly. Don't trust easily. And don't trust completely. Keep your guard up, always. Not because you're paranoid, but because you're realistic. Because you've been burned before, and you're not about to let it happen again. Trust is a risk, and every risk comes with consequences. The question you need to ask yourself is this: are you willing to pay the price if it goes wrong? If the answer is no, then it's time to reevaluate who you're giving your trust to. Trust wisely, and you'll save yourself a world of pain. There's a unique power in standing alone. When you stop relying on others, you start relying on yourself, and that's where real strength comes from. Solitude isn't loneliness, it's freedom. Freedom from the expectations, the disappointments, the betrayals. In solitude, you find clarity, you find focus, you find yourself. And when you emerge from that solitude, you're unbreakable, because you've learned to stand on your own 2 feet. You've learned that you don't need them, they need you. Solitude is where you discover your true potential. It's where you realize that your worth isn't tied to anyone else. It's where you build the resilience to face whatever comes your way. And once you've embraced the strength in solitude, nothing and no one can break you. Every relationship has strings attached. Obligations, expectations. But what happens when those strings start to strangle you? When the people you thought were lifting you up are actually dragging you down? That's when it's time to cut the strings. Cutting the strings isn't easy. It's painful. It's messy. But it's necessary. Because you can't move forward while you're tied to the past. You can't rise while you're being pulled down. So, take the knife and sever the ties. Free yourself from the weight of others. And watch how high you can soar. Letting go doesn't mean you're heartless. It means you're wise. It means you've learned to prioritize your own well-being over the demands of others. Cutting the strings is an act of self-preservation, a declaration that you will no longer allow anyone to hold you back. And in that freedom, you'll find your wings. In the end, the only person you can truly rely on is yourself. But that's not a curse, it's a blessing. Because when you become your own ally, you're unstoppable. You're no longer at the mercy of others. You're no longer vulnerable to their whims, their betrayals, their weaknesses. Being your own ally means taking responsibility for your life. It means owning your decisions, your mistakes, your successes. It means looking in the mirror and saying, "I've got you," and meaning it, because at the end of the day, you are all you need. Being your own ally doesn't mean isolating yourself. It means empowering yourself. It's about building a relationship with the one person who will never leave your side, you. And once you've mastered that, you'll have the strength to face anything the world throws at you. The weight of expectations. Expectations are the invisible chains that bind you to others' desires. They weigh you down, pulling you into a world where your worth is measured by how well you conform. Parents expect, friends expect, society expects, And what do you expect of yourself? The weight of their expectations becomes your burden, and the worst part, you let it. Let me ask you this. How much of your life is truly yours? How many decisions have you made because they were what you wanted, not what someone else demanded? Expectations are subtle manipulators. They're not overt like betrayal, but they're just as deadly. They rob you of your authenticity, your individuality. To shed the weight of expectations is to reclaim your freedom. But it's not easy. People will resist. They'll guilt you, shame you, label you as selfish. Let them. Because in the end, the expectations they place on you are about them, not you. The day you stop living for others is the day you start living for yourself. And that's the only life worth living. The strength of self-control. Self-control is the foundation of self-reliance. It's the ability to say no when everything in you wants to say yes. It's the discipline to keep going when you'd rather give up. It's the quiet strength of knowing that your actions are yours alone, not dictated by impulse or external pressure. But self-control isn't about denying yourself. It's about mastering yourself. It's about understanding that every decision you make is a brick in the structure of your life. Will that structure stand tall, or will it crumble under the weight of regret? That choice is yours. They'll tell you self-control is restrictive, that it makes life dull. But that's because they don't understand its power. Self-control is freedom. It's the power to choose your path, your destiny. It's the realization that you don't have to be a slave to your desires or anyone else's expectations. And once you harness that power, nothing can stop you. The legacy of self-reliance. What will they say about you when you're gone? That you were kind, loyal, dependable? Or that you were strong, resilient, unstoppable? The legacy you leave behind isn't just for others, it's for yourself. It's the proof that you lived life on your terms, that you didn't let the world break you. Self-reliance isn't just about surviving, it's about thriving. It's about building a life so solid, so unshakable, that no one can take it from you. It's about creating a legacy that says, I didn't just live, I conquered. But here's the thing about legacies. They don't happen by accident. They're built, piece by piece, moment by moment. Every choice you make, every step you take, is part of the story you'll leave behind. So make it a story worth telling. A story of strength. A story of self-reliance. Because in the end, trust no one isn't just a mantra. It's a way of life. It's the path to true freedom, true power. And if you walk that path, you'll leave behind a legacy that no one can ignore. The final thought. The truth about trust. Trust is a gamble. Dependence is a trap. And self-reliance is the only way out. The world will try to convince you otherwise. They'll call you cynical, paranoid, cold. Let them. Because the truth is, they fear the strength that comes with self-reliance. They fear the power of someone who doesn't need them. So, trust no one, but believe in yourself. Depend on yourself. Because at the end of the day, the only person you can truly count on is staring back at you in the mirror. And that person? They're stronger than you think. Trust no one. Not because the world is evil, but because it's uncertain. People will come and go. Relationships will rise and fall. But you will remain. And that's why self-reliance isn't just an option, it's a necessity. It's the foundation of a life that cannot be shaken, no matter what storms come your way. So, stand tall, build your walls, cut the strings, and become your own ally. Because in the end, the only person who will never betray you is you. That's all. I'm out. By the way, if you want to level up in life, don't forget to show some love by hitting the like and subscribe button. Until next time.